The world had shrunk to the 5.5 inches of glass and aluminum in my hand. My phone was the anchor, the tether that kept me from drifting away in the quiet of my own apartment. It was a constant stream of her, a digital IV drip of affection that made the 7,000 miles separating my gray Ohio suburb from her vibrant, chaotic corner of the Philippines feel like nothing more than a minor inconvenience. I scrolled through her pictures again, a ritual that had become as routine as my morning coffee. Angel, smiling into the camera, the tropical sun making her black hair shine. Angel, holding a plate of food she'd cooked, with the caption, "I wish you were here to eat this, my king." Angel, in a grainy video call screenshot I'd taken, her face soft with sleep as she whispered goodnight. Each image, each saved message, was a brick in the fortress of my certainty. I was special. I wasn't one of those guys, the sad, lonely expats who bought affection by the month. I was the one she actually loved. A message notification pulsed at the top of the screen. My thumb swiped before the thought was even fully formed. "Hi, my love. Thinking of you always." A warmth spread through my chest. I typed back instantly. "Thinking of you too. Just looking at your beautiful face." The three dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. I loved this part, the slight delay that felt like a held breath before her words reached me across the world. "I am so lucky to have you, my king. You make me feel so safe." My king. She called me that from the beginning. It used to feel a little cheesy, something lost in translation, but now it landed like a validation. A king provides, a king protects. I was her king. We fell into the easy rhythm of our daily chat, trading details about our day. Mine was a boring meeting about quarterly reports. Hers was a story about a neighbor's rooster getting loose. I could almost hear the noise, smell the street food, feel the humidity through her descriptions. The ting of another message pulled me back. This one was different, a photo. It was a picture of a discolored, sagging spot on a ceiling, a dark bloom of water damage. "The rain is so strong again, my love," the message read. "Mama is worried the roof will not last." My heart didn't sink, it seized with purpose. Here was a problem, a tangible dragon I could slay from half a world away. It wasn't a demand, never a direct ask. That's how I knew it was real. She was just sharing her worries, confiding in me the way a partner should. She wasn't asking for a handout, she was letting me in. "Don't worry about it, Angel. I'll take care of it," I typed, my fingers moving with a newfound sense of importance. "Tell your mother not to worry. How much do you think it will cost to fix?" The reply was almost immediate, the estimate precise. I didn't question it. I toggled from our messages to my banking app, the motion smooth and practiced. I saw myself as the provider, the hero stepping in where fate had failed to provide for her. This wasn't a transaction, it was an investment in our future, a deposit into the account of our shared life. With a few taps, the transfer was on its way, a string of digits flying through the digital ether to become a solid new roof over her mother's head. My phone buzzed again. It was a new message from Angel, a string of heart and prayer hand emojis, followed by a selfie of her with tears welling in her eyes, a radiant smile on her face. "My hero, my king, thank you, thank you. I don't know what my family would do without you. I love you so much." I leaned back on the couch, the phone resting on my chest. The quiet of the apartment no longer felt empty, it felt peaceful. I had built that peace for her. I had made her safe. And in the warm glow of my screen, I felt more loved and more certain than ever. The glow lasted for weeks. I was her hero, her king. The digital stream of affection intensified, flowing from her corner of the world into mine. The time difference meant I woke up to a cascade of good morning messages, heart emojis, and photos of her breakfast with captions that read, "I started my day thinking of you." The certainty I felt was a high, a drug more potent than any I'd ever known. My life in Ohio, with its muted colors and predictable routines, felt like a black and white movie. Her messages were the bursts of technicolor that made it all bearable. The next request was softer, wrapped in a different kind of story. It wasn't a crisis, but an opportunity. Her brother, the one whose future I was apparently now co signing, needed to pay his tuition fees for the semester. "He is so smart, my love," she wrote, her text accompanied by a picture of a smiling young man in a school uniform. "It is his dream to be an engineer. He always says he wants to be successful so he can help our family and help me come to you." The hook was perfectly baited. This wasn't just about her brother, it was about us. Aiding him was another step on the path to closing that 7,000-mile gap. My role as provider was expanding, becoming more nuanced. I wasn't just a protector from disaster, I was a patron of dreams. The transfer was made before my coffee got cold. The response came, but the frequency had shifted. The tearful selfie was replaced by a quick, "You are the best, my king," a true blessing. It was grateful, yes, but efficient. The emotional crescendo I'd experienced after the roof repair was muted, as if the orchestra had been sent home early. A small, dissonant note played in the back of my mind, but I ignored it. She was busy. Her family was celebrating. Of course she was distracted. The crack appeared on a Tuesday night. I was scrolling through her social media feed, a form of digital age self-soothing. I like seeing her life unfold, the pictures of her with friends, the food, the sunsets. It made me feel closer to her. Then I saw it, a photo from the previous weekend before I'd sent the tuition money. She was at a crowded table in what looked like a nice restaurant, surrounded by laughing friends. My eyes snagged on an object next to her elbow, a brand new phone, the latest model. It was sleek, a telltale triple lens camera staring up from the table. My own phone, the portal through which I conducted this entire relationship, was 2 years old. A strange, cold feeling pricked at my skin. She'd been complaining for months about how her old phone's battery was dying, how the camera was cracked. I had planned on buying her a new one for her birthday. Where had this one come from? I zoomed in. There was no mistaking it. My thumb moved with a mind of its own, scrolling back through our chat history. I was looking for something, though I didn't know what. A mention of a new phone? A gift from a relative? I found nothing. What I did find was a pattern, a rhythm I had previously mistaken for the natural cadence of a long-distance relationship. A period of intense, loving chatter. Then a problem would arise, presented softly, wrapped in a story of familial duty or a shared dream. A solution provided by me. A burst of grateful, effusive affection. Then a slow fade back to the normal rhythm. The roof, the tuition, the ding from my banking app, once a sound of empowerment, now sounded like a summons. The warmth I associated with Angel's messages was cooling into something else, something I couldn't name. It felt like walking into a familiar room where all the furniture had been shifted just a few inches. Everything looked the same, but it all felt wrong. I was still her king, but a faint, nagging question began to whisper in the quiet of my apartment. What were the duties of a king? And what was the cost of the crown? The question was a stone I'd been holding in my mouth, its weight growing heavier all day. I finally spat it out that night, framing it with a casualness I didn't feel. "Hey, I saw a pic from the weekend. Looks like you got a new phone. It's nice." I watched the 3 dots appear. This time, the pause felt different. It wasn't a held breath. It was a calculation. "Yes, my love, a gift." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Oh yeah? From who?" "My cousin. She works in Singapore. You know I needed one. My old one was so bad for our calls." The lie was so smooth, so practiced. It slid into the conversation and settled comfortably. A week ago, I would have accepted it without a second thought, relieved that a problem had been solved without my intervention. But now, the lie was a loose thread on a perfectly woven tapestry. I couldn't resist pulling it. "That's funny," I typed, my fingers cold, "because it looked like you were celebrating your friend Ria's birthday." She posted a video thanking her boyfriend for buying her a new bag, and she thanked you for the new phone. The three dots vanished. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating, pulling the 7,000 miles between us taut. My apartment was utterly still. The only sound was the frantic thumping in my own chest. I had expected a defense, a denial, a flurry of tearful emojis. Instead, when the reply came, it was cool and matter of fact. "Ria is my best friend. Her boyfriend is a seaman. He takes good care of her." It wasn't an answer. It was a statement of fact, a piece of data presented without context. I didn't understand. "What does that have to do with anything, Angel? Did you buy her the phone?" "No, I traded with her." "Traded what?" Another pause. I could picture her on the other end, her face impassive, wondering why I was asking such obvious questions. "The tuition money. Her father had cash for it. He needed to pay the school, but the bank was closed. So I gave him the money from my account, and she gave me the phone her boyfriend had bought for her. It was a fair trade." The words didn't register at first. They were just letters on a screen, nonsensical. I read them again and again. The cold feeling that had pricked at my skin before now flooded my entire body, a paralytic shock. It wasn't about the money, it was about the logic, the seamless, guilt-free, utterly rational transaction she had just laid bare. The money I sent for her brother's future, our future, had been liquid asset, a tool to be leveraged for an immediate personal gain. My mind raced back through the months of messages, the declarations of love, the shared dreams. It was all there, but I was seeing it through a new lens. Every "I love you, my king" wasn't a whisper of affection, it was a term of employment. The roof, the tuition, those were capital investments in the family business. I wasn't her partner, I was her financier, and she, the CEO, was simply allocating resources as she saw fit. The love, the tears, the gratitude. It was just good investor relations. There was no malice in her words, no shame. That was the most devastating part. In her world, what she had done was not a betrayal. It was resourceful. It was smart. The seaman took care of his girlfriend. I took care of my family. This was the way of things. Her words meant nothing because the actions had their own clear, brutal language. She had a need. I had a purpose. I set the phone down on the table, the screen still glowing with her last message. The anchor had become a millstone. The digital IV drip was poison. The fortress of my certainty had been a house of cards, and she had just calmly blown it down without ever realizing I thought it was a castle. The quiet of my apartment returned, but it wasn't peaceful. It was just empty. And for the first time, the 7,000 miles felt exactly as far as they were. I stared at the screen, but I no longer saw her words. I saw a contract, one I had signed without reading the terms and conditions. The silence in the apartment wasn't empty anymore. It was clarifying. For months, I'd been the hero in a romance I was writing myself, casting her as the damsel. But she was never in distress. She was the director, the producer, and the lead actress in a completely different film, a sober drama about economics. My delusion wasn't that she was using me. It was that I thought I was the only one getting something out of it. She received capital. I received a purpose, a role, the feeling of being a king. Every transfer was a payment for the fiction that I was a powerful, essential man, a hero slaying dragons from a beige couch in Ohio. She wasn't a con artist. She was my service provider. The real game wasn't about love or deception. It was about seeing the world for what it was. Her world was a place where a brother's education was a liquid asset and a boyfriend was a foreign investor. In her world, she had made a smart business decision. In mine, I had been heartbroken. The uncomfortable truth was that only one of us was living in reality. I picked up the phone. Her chat window was still open, a silent testament to the concluded transaction. I didn't type a reply. There was nothing left to say. There were no more dragons to slay. The king was unemployed. I navigated away from her message and opened my banking app, scrolling through the list of outgoing international transfers. They weren't memories, they were receipts, proof of services rendered. I finally understood. She didn't break my heart, she just balanced the books.